Won't it be Ryan the Great? And today we are reacting to the Eagles win, and I use win very lightly over the Indianapolis Colts today. The final score was 17-16. I wasn't happy with the win at all. The offense just couldn't convert. The defense did their job. I thought the offensive play calling was pretty bad. But I will break this down just in a second, and we're just gonna get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, two things. First, I'm gonna tell you guys to subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother, Leon the Great Vlogs. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And also, second thing, tonight at around 8:20, I will be going live for the Chiefs or the Chargers versus Chiefs, whatever it is. Sunday night football matchup. We're going to be live commentating the game. We'll be talking about it. I'm hoping to see you guys in chat, so make sure you are there tonight, 8:20 Eastern Time, Chargers versus Chiefs. I'll see you guys there. So first, obviously we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts. Did I mention Jalen Hurts is now the leading candidate for MVP, at least in my opinion. While he hasn't put up these amazing or crazy stats like we have seen from Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen literally take the ball in their hands and drive their team down the field with their legs themselves. I have not seen that this year from Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Also, both of them do not only have one loss on their record right now. I think Jalen Hurts is now the leading candidate for MVP. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but that's just my opinion. And I'm not trying to be a homer, I'm just trying to, saying what I think. And also, he still completed 72% of his passes, so that was also really good. While he only did throw for 190 yards, I think that was a problem, though, with the receivers did not get open enough. He did throw for one touchdown, and that was a beautiful dime. And I also think another problem was that Dallas Goedert is not in the game, so he's kind of adjusting to that. So I think next game could be a little better in passing-wise. Yada, yada. The run game, once again, all Jalen Hurts, 16 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown. Once again, I don't like it that he had 16 carries, but I think I have to make an exception for today. Yeah, just because of his legs, the Eagles won this game, so today I'll make an exception for him having 16 carries. Sanders really couldn't get much going, and not enough blocking through the middle, at least in my opinion. Though he did only have 13 carries for 47 yards. Not the greatest game, but the quarterback did have more carries than you, so, that's obviously going to be a problem. And I think that they ran a little too much through the A gap. I think they should have tried a little more through the C gap, through my allotted side. There was one play through there where I think he picked up around 6 or 7 yards. I felt maybe they should have ran a little bit more end, but hey, they got the job done, whatever. And really the only best thing that Sanders did was he drew that pass interference call downfield on the last drive, so that's probably really the best that he did. Yada, yada, yada. Receiving core was not amazing like they could be, but they were pretty respectable. Brown ran his routes better, a lot better week than last week. He had a pretty good game, 5 catches for 60 yards. Just, I think the fumble overshadows all of that. Maybe not all of it, but I feel like it does overshadow a lot of it. Just because it was in a key moment, and you just can't have that happen. You got to wrap the ball up, and that's twice in 2 weeks where the Eagles receivers have fumbled the ball in key moments. The only good thing is that the Eagles were able to pull it off today. Yada, yada, yada. Smith, they finally got him involved. They let him run loose. They let him run his routes right, or let him run his best routes, which obviously is that comeback route. He played really good today. Yada, yada, yada. And he finally had more yards off catch. I think he had like around 6 catches for 70-something yards. I think it was 76, if I'm not mistaken there. So yeah, I think he had a pretty good game. So things are looking pretty bright for him. Watkins only had 2 catches for 31 yards, but he was able to burn everybody on that run touchdown that he got. So I think that was pretty good. Yeah, so I think, we got it when we really needed it. So I think it was a pretty good game. A lot better than last week, at least in my opinion, just because he was able to get that touchdown. So, yeah. Overall, the receivers, they didn't really get open enough when Hurts had, a lot of time in the pocket. But I think that's also with Goddard not being there. Normally when the receivers are not getting open, he normally is there to help Jalen Hurts out. And when Hurts has to get out of the pocket, he normally runs across the field and helps Hurts out. I think it was a good mix of Smith and Brown this week, and I think that was pretty good. And speaking of tight ends, though, they're really struggling without Goddard. Stoll, I mean, he just couldn't get open, and the rest of them committed penalties. I don't even know the guy's name, number 81. I couldn't say his name if I tried. Tyree Jackson, he also had a penalty himself. I mean, the tight ends have more penalties than catches, so I think they just need to clean that up. Yeah, the offensive line, though, they had a lot better pass protection this week. I'm very glad of that. It's just the receivers weren't getting open. The run game, it wasn't the greatest in the world. Though on that last play, Kelsey wasn't able to open up a hole for Jalen Hurts when he ran in for the touchdown. That's pretty much all they really did on the run game. I felt they should have ran a little bit more on Jordan Mailata's side, but what can you do? It is what it is. But the play calling was pretty bad today. I think one of the Eagles' biggest problems is stupidity. They were just stupid. Like, there was penalties. That's pretty much all it was. Like, penalties on drives, just being stupid, all right? Like, that's just all it was. If you watch the game, you'll see all the stupid mistakes that the Eagles made. I really just don't know how to explain it. And then the play calling, I mean, it was terrible. Too many plunges into the line. That just wasn't working. I don't understand why Steichen just kept calling that. I don't know why he did. I don't know why he didn't realize that there's a whole game to play. You don't need to go deep on every play. There were a lot of plays where Hurts had pass protection, and he just kept running everybody deep, and they were playing a good cover 2 defense on the Eagles. I'm not entirely sure why he kept doing that, but I don't know. Yada, yada, yada. And on third down, there were too many times plunging into the line with Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. While Sanders is not a power back, those guys are a lot worse of power backs. I don't understand what the thought process was of that. And then on the last drive on the goal line, I understand that the Eagles did score on that drive, but what was it, second down, I believe it was, you ran a read option with Boston Scott. It was obvious that Hurts was going to take it himself. I mean, you just got to use your head, guys. But, I mean, the offense just didn't look it this week. Too many stupid mistakes. Fumbling the ball. Hurts did fumble the ball, but I don't think it was his fault. I think that Sanders should have blocked the guy who got the strip sack. And Hurts, it was obviously on Hurts' blind side, so I don't think that was his fault. But I still think Hurts is the leading candidate for MVP. The defense, they really did their job this week. Suh and Joseph, they made the Colts hesitant to run up the gut with Jonathan Taylor just because of their presence. I thought they had a really good game this week. They were able to stop Taylor. Plays where he looked like he could have had 7 or 8 yards on the carry. They still only stopped him for around 3 yards. I think they did a really good job in that. The first drive, Taylor played really well. He obviously, he got like 7 carries for like 60-something yards or 40-something yards, I'm not sure, and a touchdown. But then after that, the Eagles, they pretty much just shut him down. And, not really shut him down, but they slowed him down, I guess you could say. You're never going to slow Jonathan Taylor down. And they even forced a fumble, which Jonathan Taylor never does. Jonathan Taylor, he never fumbles. Oh my God, I almost deleted all my notes. Yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Graham and Reddick, they made up for their terrible last few weeks. Graham, he had that pretty big sack, as well as Reddick. Reddick had his sack on the goal line. Play where the Eagles really needed it. I was kind of scared that Brian was going to be able to escape the pocket and get into the end zone. But Reddick, he made a really good play. Graham, he made up for last week where he hit Taylor Heineke late. So he made that sack, and he definitely helped the Eagles win that game. I'm also glad that he manned up in the press conference and put that all on him. There are guys that I don't think they would do that. They would just hide behind, just hide behind it. But he made sure he owned up to it. I'm really proud about that. That shows you that he is a true captain. Yada, yada, yada. Cox and Hargrave, they really didn't do much. I know Hargrave did have a tackle for loss, but other than that, I mean, not really much. Williams did have a sack, so I think that was pretty cool. But I think it was only like a 1-yard loss. I think Ryan did trip, so I don't really know, but they counted it. I've given credit a lot to the defensive line, but don't think I am letting them really off the hook. The only time that they really did well on the passing wise is the last few minutes when Reddick and Graham had to get those sacks. And don't think that the Reddick and Graham sack was that amazing. Yes, it was a key sack, but the problem was that the Colts were going deep because they had to get that field goal. While it was a nice sack, it's just, I don't know. I just don't think it was that impressive. yeah, but the run stopping was pretty good. It's clear that Suh and Joseph, they're doing their job and they're doing something right. They're making teams hesitant to run the ball on them. I hope that's the same way against Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry. Once again, I'm loving my man T.J. Edwards. He is so underrated. He had tackles in the backfield. He made sure that on the rushes that Taylor was getting 7-8 yards, he was making sure he didn't rush for more. T.J. Edwards, he was reading plays. He was able to he was able to lead that defense. I'm loving what T.J. Edwards is doing, and I'm not going to stop talking about him until he gets the respect he deserves. He should be a Pro Bowler. He's top 10 in tackles right now. Let's give some love to T.J. Edwards, all right? White, Kazir White, I mean, he really didn't do much. He wasn't that great in coverage. I'll say he played a little below average. It's just, he was supposed to be that guy to help us in the middle of the field, and he really didn't do that great. The secondary was not great. They were average, at least I think, this week. Over the middle, they were absolutely abysmal. I'm surprised the Colts didn't go there even more. I think that was Gardner Johnson and Kazir White's fault just a little bit. It's just, Gardner Johnson, I feel like he should have played a little more up. If the Eagles were going to play cover 2 defense, then Gardner Johnson maybe should have moved up. As we know, is not really the greatest defender in the world, so I don't really know. Yada, yada, yada. Slay had a better game. They didn't really go to him much, so it's clear he was doing something right, but on the plays they did go to him, he gave up 2 passes, so I was not too, happy about that. Bradbury, he still straps. They only went straps. Like, literally, he is playing amazing this year. They only went to him once, and he made a great play. He pushed Pierce out of bounds, making sure he did not get those both feet in. I'm really loving what I'm seeing from James Bradbury this year. Definitely a great pickup. I love the defensive play calling, though, this week. I'm finally giving credit to Jonathan Gannon. They had nice cover 2 defense. The defensive line was able to stop Taylor. It was a great mix of Suh and Joseph doing their jobs to make sure Taylor does not get going. And the defense did really well in the red zone, stopping the Colts. I mean, they only held them to 16 points, so it's clearly doing something right there. And I'm very glad that we were able to accomplish that. Bottom line, Jalen Hurts was really the only reason you won. The offense definitely needs better production, and the defense had a better game. So more production from the offense. Great play, not really great, but I'll say good by the defense. Once again, just a little bit about the Colts. Ryan, he had a pretty good game. He completed 71% of his passes and threw for over 200 yards. Taylor had a good start, but not a good finish. I do think that the Colts should have ran him more, a little bit around end. They kept running him up the gut, and it's clear it really wasn't working as well as it did on the first drive. So I felt that, they probably should have ran it around end just a little bit more. Their receivers were pretty good. They got a lot of people involved. Pearson, I think he had 3 catches, if I'm not mistaken. Pittman had 6, and I think Campbell, he had around 5, so they did pretty good. There, they got a lot of guys involved. They just couldn't get open when it counted, which was that last drive. The defense did a good job of taking advantage of the Eagles' just straight-up stupidity, but they just couldn't hold Jalen Hurts down long enough. The bottom line for the Colts, you're 2 games below 500. You had chances to take over the game. You just couldn't, and now you got to get back on track and just, regroup for next week. That was a lot of words I had to speak today. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother Leading the Great Vlogs. Make sure you check out my streams tonight at around 8:20 Eastern Time. Make sure you find me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.